Hello everyone, Russ of Aquarimax Pets here. We are about to rehouse this Phidippus ardens. I call this little beauty Buddy. Buddy is captive bred, comes from Spooterbop Shop, and which happens to be fairly local to me, so I was able to do a pickup, but they do ship as well. And I'll put a link down in the description. I got Buddy as an I5. Oh, look at that little face. Love that little face. He has tamed up pretty nicely. He seems to be pretty relaxed when being handled. I say he, I don't know yet. It's a male or female. Probably got a little while before I will be certain which one Buddy is. As you can see, absolutely gorgeous coloration. That red, orange, and black. An absolutely delightful little face. See if we can get a focus on that a little bit closer up. Very inquisitive, just like other members of the Phidippus genus. This is just a species that's not kept nearly as often as Phidippus audax or Phidippus regius, but I think they'll become more popular because they're certainly gorgeous and just as friendly as any other species in the genus. So before we introduce Buddy into his or her new home, I just want to give a shout out to my patrons at Patreon. Thank you for all that you do. I really appreciate the support that you provide the channel. We couldn't do it without you. And you'll see a list of all the patrons at the end of this video. If you'd like to become a patron or find out what kind of perks you can get as a patron, then just go to patreon.com and search for Aquarimax Pets, or check out the link that I'll put at the end of this video and in the description. So obviously I'm not going to be rehousing Buddy into this enclosure. This was the enclosure that Buddy came in, which is great for very, very small spiderlings. You can see the pipe cleaner, which has been hot glued to the inner surface to provide some climbing surfaces and so on. And I kept Buddy in this for 1 or 2 molts, and then moved him into this. Now, this is one of my favorite types of jumping spider enclosures. This is from bigfatfids.com. I'll put a link down in the description to these two. You can see they have really good ventilation. There's a very fine mesh on here that fruit flies are not going to get out of, which is really nice. And it has these gasket style vents on 2 sides, so you get some good ventilation in there. And it opens from the bottom, which is great. Let me see if I can show you that. I have to, since I've got Buddy on one hand, I have to be careful what I'm doing here. The bottom comes off, which is ideal because then when the spider builds its hammock, the hammock is not disturbed. But Buddy has now outgrown this, just finished a molt not too long ago, took a couple of meals after it had gone long enough to fully sclerotize, harden up, had a couple of meals, and now it's time to move him on. So we're going to move him into this enclosure. This is a tarantula cribs enclosure, one of the treehouse style. I believe this is the second size up. There's one smaller than this, and I think there are a couple of versions that are larger. But I think this will be an excellent home for Buddy. Phidippus ardens is generally a species that lives in fairly arid areas, like lots of areas in Arizona, for example. So I went with that theme. And with jumping spiders, you do want to give them some decor, some furniture for places to build their hammock, but also just places to jump and exercise, some enrichment. And so I decided to go with the theme of cholla wood. And you can see the cholla wood is very stable in here. And the reason why that is because I used a deli cup, and I put a deli cup down here and used super glue and baking soda and some river stones to fill up the deli cup. And you can see one of the river stones protruding right there. And that immediately creates a pretty strong bond. You want to do that in a well-ventilated area, by the way. I did it outside. And immediately did that bond, so I can jiggle that a little bit, but that's the deli cup jiggling. It's not going to be anything that's going to cause a problem for Buddy because Buddy doesn't weigh enough to move that, of course. And then I just put that other piece along the side. So I think this will be a good balance between simplicity, because you don't want the enclosure to be too complex. It makes it harder to find their food items. But I think this will work just fine. Oh, look at that. Look at that little guy. See if we can get a couple of close-ups on the face before we put him in the new enclosure. But there we go. That's beautiful. Look at that little guy. Or gal. I'm leaning towards it being a female. I'm just not sure yet. That's what I'm thinking. Colors don't give them away quite as much in Ardens as they do in, say, Regius. At least not to me, because I've not kept this species before. There may be some who have a lot of experience with Ardens and can notice some of the subtle color differences. Oh, sorry, buddy. Gonna take a jump? Yep. There we go. Decent look at his little face. There we go. And now it's time to put him in the new enclosure. This is a tarantula cribs enclosure, like I mentioned before. I'll put a link in the description if you haven't checked out tarantula cribs. They make a lot of excellent enclosures for jumping spiders and, of course, tarantulas, but their enclosures can be used for lots of other creatures. I have an Asian forest scorpion in one. I have isopods in some of them. All kinds of creatures. They do really well. Variety of shapes and sizes. And without further ado, it looks like Buddy is ready to go. Happy to be in the new enclosure. Losing absolutely no time in exploring his new domain. So we'll let Buddy get to that. Thank you so much for watching. I post videos on Fridays with live streams on Wednesdays, all on aquarium and vivarium pets with lots of arthropod content. Please feel free to share, rate, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And then tap the bell for all notifications so you don't miss my next video.